Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today for Kineo Totara office hours. My name is Taylor Craig and I am the Learning Platform Specialist here at Kineo. I do Totara training. A little bit about office hours. It's about a 15-minute feature presentation, give or take a few minutes, and then exclusively offered to our clients is the 45 minutes of open floor questions. Please bring me your questions. No questions too big, no questions too small. If I don't know the answer, I bet you I know somebody who does. So today we are going to be talking about HR import. What exactly is HR import and what can I do with it? HR import is something that is part of your core Totara installation. It is already there. However, you may be familiar with it as Totara Sync, I believe, was the old name for it. However, it is now called HR Import in your 2.7 installation. And this allows you to import users. You can also build out your positional and organizational hierarchies using HR Import, as well as then place your users into those organizations and positions. So really a nice feature to your site if you're not already aware of it. There is some pretty good documentation out there at help.totaralms.com, and here is the link. We'll make sure that's provided in the comments. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about using HR import to upload an organizational structure. So in this example, what we're seeing here is a very slimmed down version of the organizations that are currently on my site. So on my site, I have it set up where I have my overall arching company at the top of my organizational structure. Next down, I have my administrative level, which is my field operations group. And then down below that, I have regions. For this example, I'm only using one region. However, I actually have 4 on my site, but this is the Houston region. Inside of Houston, there are actually 4 districts. So we've got District 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then underneath each of those districts are the stores that are a part of those districts and the stores that make up those districts. So in this particular example, we see that the hot pink is all Houston District 1, the yellow is all Houston District 2, purple's 3, and the light blue is District 4. Now, I color-coded this so that you can actually see where the colors fall when you're looking at it on a CSV file or looking at it inside of Excel. So if you think about it kind of from the bottom up, these stores report to this district, these districts report to this region, the region reports up to field ops, and field ops reports up to the overall arching company level. So let's take a look at this on a side-by-side. Let me pull this down. There we go. Here we have our organizations set up, and you'll see that the colors are going to match. So we've got company, that is the very top. It's the parent organization in this hierarchy. And then its parent ID number is going to be 0 because it is the top. It is the main one. Next down, we have field ops if you look at our image. And then next down, we have field ops in the file. And we're showing that it reports up to company. Same goes for the region, and it's reporting up to field ops. All of these districts, we're showing reporting back up to HOU, which is the region. And then down here, we have our pink district, which is District 1. We see that stores 211, 241, 242, 245 through 247, they all report back to District 1. So this is a very important, these 2 columns are very important to building out a hierarchical structure using a CSV file. Some additional fields that you will need that are required is ID number, parent ID number, full name, framework ID number, short name, and time modified. One little gotcha here, guys. If you're using a CSV file to actually build out your structure, it is important that you go ahead and manually set up the framework. Your framework column is going to be pretty simple and straightforward. It's all going to fall into the same exact framework in this particular example. However, you may have multiple frameworks. If you do have multiple frameworks, just make sure that you put in the information for the additional framework. The ID number would go with those particular items belonging to that framework. You do have to have your short name as well as time modified. Time modified is typically always going to be a 0 in this field. So I've broken this down again in this particular file. I'll make sure you have access to it just so you have access to an example file. Here's what it would look like without the color coding and the breaking down and all of that. So once you build out your file, it would look very similar to this. Let's take a look at positions. I'm going to pull this back out a bit. So in here we have positions. We've got our system all, which is our highest ranking, typically probably going to be the people who are administering the site. Then next down is field operations. So those may be the higher up corporate ranking people who want to see reports but don't really want to be actively involved in the site. So that may be who is sitting in that position. Next down, you've got your regional managers, district, general, and assistant managers. And then we have our shift supervisor, and the individuals reporting back up to the shift supervisor are frontline associates and cooks and food prep associates. So let's look at what this looks like on a file. So again, I've color coded it so you're able to see who reports to whom. We've got our system all. Its parent ID number is 0 because it's going to be the highest level on the site. Then you've got your field operations reporting back to system all, and you'll see the relationship here, the regional manager reporting to field ops, district to regional, so on and so forth. If you look here, your frontline associates, we're seeing that they both report to the shift supervisor, which is exactly what we're seeing in this depiction. We also see that the framework is showing system all. That is going to be the name of the framework. So let's take a look at what these look like already built out inside of Totara. So if I go to Site Administration, Hierarchies, Organizations, Manage Organizations, and then click on Company, that's the one that we were looking at and building out, we see the exact same structure. Company, Field Ops, Houston, Houston District 1, the stores that report to Houston District 1, District 2, 3, and 4. You're also seeing the others, Dallas, Lamesa, and College Station, all are also built into this particular framework for the organization. If we take a look inside of the framework, because you would come in here and add a new organizational framework, you would add that manually. If we take a look at the settings for this, you'll notice here is the framework ID number. If we look back at that file very quickly, here is that framework ID number column. It all belongs in framework 100, which is what we named it. However, your ID number does not have to be all numbers. It can be words if you would like it to be, or letters. So it can include all of those things. Let's take a quick peek at users. So your users are going to be a part of both organizations and positions. Typically, you're going to build out your user file last because you want them to have everything included inside of that particular file. So in this case, I see that Jimmy Crockett is going to be the field operations person. So earlier I mentioned that he was a higher ranking individual in the company who just kind of wanted to see reports but didn't need to be involved in anything else. To do that, we give him a position above everyone else. That way he can view reports of the people who report to him, as well as the indirect reports if that is something that you would like to do. One of the main reasons you have a positional framework. So we have him listed as ID number 1A. Every learner, when using Totara Sync, is going to have their own individual ID number. This is separate from the ID number that is assigned to them within the system that you typically don't see. But for those of you who may be more advanced or maybe have a Moodle background, you may be familiar with another ID number. This is a completely different ID number. So we see that the individual Peter Porter, who is directly below Jimmy, he reports to Jimmy, so he reports to 1A. We see that Nicole Harris reports to Peter. We see that Carolyn Reynolds reports to Nicole, so on and so forth. We really start seeing a lot more color when we get down into the individuals who have people in the stores directly reporting to them. So for example, Jack Graham and Jose Thomas, they both have individuals who are reporting to them. They both report up to Ann Robinson. However, Joe and Jose, or Jack and Jose, both have several individuals reporting to each of them. So this is what your user file might look like. Again, I have this broken down by role so that you can kind of see what exactly is happening here. And this is actually position, not role. So it's broken down by position so that you can see exactly the relationship that we have there. One thing that you're going to notice, we also have an org ID number in the user file. The org ID number in a user file is going to indicate which organization that individual is a part of. So in this case, we have the region. Peter Porter is the Houston Regional Manager. And then we have Nicole Harris, who's the Houston District 1 Manager. Carolyn Reynolds, who is the General Manager of Store 203. However, if there was multiple stores listed in this file, you would see the same roles, typically from District Manager down. You're going to see those roles again. Okay, so let's actually see this in action with some files that we can edit and manipulate. So what I've done here on this site is I've gone in and I have created a framework manually called Demo Organization. And in that demo organization, I've already built out Company 2, which is my highest level of the company. Below that I have regions. So let's take a look at that file. We're going to add a few more things to it. So I'm going to add a district. It is going to report to region. The framework ID is going to stay exactly the same because I want it in this framework, Demo Organization. The full name I'm going to call district. Short name, same thing. Time modified, I'm going to have a 0 in there. Okay, you could add multiple others. We're going to call this store. Store is going to report to district. Same framework ID. And we're actually going to call this store 1. So we'll have store 1 for our full name. Short name the same. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say File, Save As. We're going to save this to our desktop so that we can find it easily. We're going to go ahead and overwrite the file. This does need to be saved as a CSV, delimited file. Now I'm going to come in here to Site Administration, HR Import, and we are going to go to Sources, Upload HR Import Files. We're going to locate our file. Here it is on our desktop for organization. Drag, drop. Upload the file. A very important step is to click Run HR Import and then Run HR Import again. You can then take a look. We're noticing that there is an error. However, that error is for the user file. We didn't load a user file, so that's an expected error. And also it's letting me know that there was no position file uploaded either, which is also an expected warning or error. But what we can do is we can take a look at our HR import logs to see what has happened. You can filter if you would like to. Or you can simply adjust by date and time to get the most recent date to the top. You can click until it says date and time until you see the most recent date. You'll see here that it updated org company 2 and updated region district. So it updated this entire organization structure. So if we take a look under hierarchies, organizations, manage organizations, you'll notice that our demo organization now has the hierarchy that we expected. You do this, you repeat this for your positions as well as your users, and you'll have your site built out in no time using HR import and using CSV files. Thanks, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys for questions.